Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this regular meeting of the Lansing School District Board of Education to order and ask that you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Dr. Boddy? Dr. Kavanaugh?
Present.
Mrs. Hodgen? Mrs. Lilgy?
Here.
Mr. Lopez? Mrs. Moore?
Present.
Dr. Rodriguez? Mrs. Willis?
Present.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Our healing chief is absent this evening, so you guys have to put up with me. I'm so sorry for that. She is on a well-deserved vacation, so I will be filling in as acting president today. I do have one addition to the agenda. Lynette should have emailed out to the board a copy of the superintendent evaluation and timeline, and you have one, hard copy of the evaluation at your desk. So I'm going to add adoption of the evaluation and timeline under action item number D, letter D, if there's no objection from the board. All right, seeing none, I am going to see if there's any public comment on agenda items. Seeing none, before I turn it over to our guest, Dr. Jason Mellema, and anyone from the ISD presenting on the budget resolution for the ISD, I did just want to start this meeting out by thanking the city of Lansing and the registered voters, and it is so apropos for Teacher Appreciation Week that we have shown and demonstrated to our teachers and staff in this district how much we appreciate them for passing that bond that allows us to make some historic changes. So just big thank you. And we do have the opportunity to pass our bond authorizing resolution this evening, so I will certainly open the floor to the board members for more comment during that time. So moving forward, we will start our presentation. Jason.
Good evening, board members. Is this on? Good? All right. So you guys can hear me okay? No, that's what I was going to say. I think far end saying no. Let's try this one. We'll try this again. Is that a little better? All right. Well, first and foremost, and you just referenced this as well, congratulations. Monumental week for Lansing, obviously. Over $120 million that'll be directed right back to being able to provide better services for students with the upgrades and renovations to your facilities. So a neat way to be able to celebrate with you tonight. So congratulations. For those who might be new board members, I'm Jason Mellema, Superintendent of our ISD. Public Act 234 of 2004 brings me to the meeting here tonight, which is a requirement that ISDs have to make sure that we have shared our budget with our local districts. We have to have our general education budget prepared to our local districts. By May 1st of every year, we ask for an approval or disapproval from the local boards of education with respect to the process, and then our board approves the budget in June, similar to the budgeting process that happens here within local districts. So tonight, information has already been provided with inside your packet. I'm just going to briefly go through some of the highlights of our budgeting process and then hopefully be able to answer any questions you might have. I've also been joined by some of my staff members here to be able to answer any questions that they might be better equipped for than what I might be in specific areas. So we'll jump right into the presentation if that's all right. Let's go right to our third page, which kind of talks about our general fund overview. What you'll see is we're going to talk about a couple different areas inside our general fund. The ISD has three major funding sources: general fund, special education, and CTE. The requirements are for us to have some conversations around the general funds. That will be the topic, our focus area for tonight. early childhood, instructional programs, the outcomes, student outcomes, and of course collaborations kind of make up the main areas with respect to our general fund. Moving on to page 4, MTSS continues to be an area, the multi-tiered systems of support continues to be a major focus for us at the ISDs. Obviously, making sure that we are connected with our local districts to understand how we can partner and serve for student success is a huge priority. This past year, one of the things we did as part of that process was we made sure we met with leadership teams from all of our districts to try to align not only the goals that we have as the ISD, but also along the same lines of what the goals that the local districts were trying to reach. So that's an important process for us in making sure that we work on services that are birth to age 26. We are one of the few states that go all the way to age 26, but we have services that we provide actually almost before students are born, because we work to help to make sure that there are healthy births as well. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Page 5 kind of starts our overview of our spreadsheet with respect to the budget. And what you'll see on the highlights that are on here, similar budget to what we saw last year, $33 million, a little over $33.8 in revenue, $33.5 in expenditures. So happy to be able to put a little bit into fund balance. As you know, with the revenues that we have, most of those revenues are directed, what are known as designated funds that have to go to specific areas. We have very few sources that are undesignated, but we're happy to have a budget that is balanced and be able to contribute a little bit to fund balance. A couple of things that you would see that are changes, and we'll highlight these in just a minute. Obviously, the HSDCI and the early college program that we have at LCC, we are on the way to phase out. HSDCI was discontinued. The early college model, we are phasing out the current model and working on towards our new model. So we are not eliminating the early college. We are working towards having a better model that will better meet the students' needs of students as we move forward. Page 6 works on our revenues. What you'll see on our revenues, something that we're very proud of, I want to highlight underneath our state revenues that we have $14.3 million in state revenues, about $1 million of which is focused on mental health. That's that 31N grant. We have trails programs that are established in many of our schools, and those are school-specific, not district-specific. Those are school-specific applications. I think we have over 15 schools that are participating in the trails program. We also have a cadre, an outstanding staff of mental health specialists. We have 5 staff members that are directed just towards making sure that we try to help students and staff members during some of these challenging times. One of the fascinating things, by February of this year, we already had more requests for support than what we had all of last year. So mental health is absolutely a focus of ours. What you would see in the revenue as well is there's a conversation in that top paragraph about health resource advocates. Those would be the supports that we have provided as well, thinking about the challenges of COVID, the supports that have been provided inside schools to help and assist with the COVID testing and all of the other many things that have to go along with the COVID challenges. So that's an interesting area when we look at revenues and what's going to be happening. For 21-22, we were guaranteed with respect to the HRAs. We'd already been notified by this point in time last year. For next year, we've recently been notified that we believe there will be some money coming after our fiscal year ends, but before the end of the state fiscal year. If you remember correctly, fiscal years don't line up. Our year ends on June 30th. The state fiscal year doesn't end until the end of September 30th. We're expecting to get some money in between that time. And then a couple of weeks ago, it was mentioned that there might be monies for next year as well. I can't promise you anything, so we're showing what we know is to be fact at this point in time. We've had conversations at the superintendent table about this because there's definitely an interest from districts to continue to be able to provide some of these supports and services. And obviously, if there are funds available, we will continue to apply as such. But just something that I wanted to bring forward because that's an interesting area as we're still trying to work through this fog of COVID as far as what services are available and how do we continue to support students and staff to keep everybody safe. Expense highlights on page 7. As I referenced earlier, it's slightly less than what our revenues are, which we're always happy for. The lion's share when we look at some of the expenses, and we'll talk more about this in just a minute, inside our general education budget, we're happy to say actually goes towards early childhood. And that moves into the next page, into page 8. What you would see is over $13 million of this general education budget is dedicated towards early childhood services. That would be GSRP, the Great Start Collaborative, Great Parents, Great Start, early childhood support networks. We know, and research is overwhelmingly clear, if we can provide the supports to our youngest learners, it benefits them to make sure that they're ready for school. Additionally, the financial benefit is huge for all school districts because early interventions typically mean less challenges and less services later on. So it's an area that we continue to focus on and making sure that we can provide some of those connections. The substitute system, this is an interesting one. I'll highlight this as well. Last year, $4.3 million in funds, almost exactly the same spot, and yet we can't find subs anywhere. What's happened? As we all know, what are we doing? Paying subs significantly more. 4 years ago, subs were making about $80 a day. As you're well aware, we're up to $300 a day in certain spots. Supply and demand has significantly changed, and of course, that's the issue that we have, is we have reduced numbers of teachers that are coming out of teacher prep institutions, which used to be a large aspect of what we're in the sub pools, and we've had more retirees that have considered whether or not they want to become subs with the challenges of COVID. Our pools have been decimated, and in that supply context, we've had to pay more to make sure that we can fill those needs. So it's interesting, our budgets have stayed about the same, even though the pools have significantly dropped. Moving on to page 9, some of the MTSS services that we kind of referenced earlier continue to be some of the priorities we have. The MyKIP program is the new accreditation program that the state of Michigan requires us to go through. I will tell you that our staff is doing the best to stay on top of a system that is being built as it's being flown. So we are learning at the same point in time, and you're seeing nods behind you, we are learning at the same point in time that information is coming out from the state. So we do our best to continue to provide those types of supports in that area. Moving on to page 10, one of the things I would highlight on there is something we're very proud of, and that's our REMC Save. REMC, for those of you who might be unaware, is actually the statewide bid categories in which schools are able to connect in. I think you're aware, it's about $26,000 as a bid threshold. By doing cooperative bids, we can actually save districts money. That's the REMC's whole purpose. One of the things that's actually kind of cool is that the REMC organization, they have their own board, they have their own staff, but they actually function outside of our ISD. So they're inside our programs, they're staff members that we connect with, and so we're very proud. Over $1 billion have been saved for school districts since the start of REMC. So it's an awesome program to be able to connect and save money on what seemingly are small things, but end up being much cheaper when they're purchased in bulk. And then finally, on page 11, other programs that we have, of course, we have services in which we try to gain that Costco effect, that same effect, and making sure that we can purchase at a bigger level. We have our transportation consortium, we have technology services, we have HR services, we have business services, we have communication services, all different types of services in which we provide in a collective effort to help other districts. So those are the overall highlights of the budget. As I referenced before, provided to local districts by May 1st. We would ask for your approval prior to June 1st, and our board will approve at our June meeting. What questions might you have that I can answer?
Thank you, Mrs. Moore.
How did you know? I did. I have lots of questions. You were talking so fast. I'm like, okay, catch up. Our first question is about the, if you could just share a little bit about the, here we go, Ingham Academy. I think I asked you about that last time.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the graduation percentage for that? And just tell me where are we at? How's it going? How the kids? You didn't share anything about that program, and I'm curious to know.
No, I did not share anything with that. So Ingham Academy is a coordinated effort that we have between Peckham, Highfields, 30th Circuit Court, Lansing School District, and our ISD. So it's a neat way of trying to provide services, the main focus of which is actually reducing the recidivism for students. It's a judge-directed program, so students are there as in spite of being otherwise locked up. So it's a program in which we're trying to make sure that students are getting work skills as much as life skills and having the opportunities to complete their diplomas. Every year we do have students that graduate. The graduation rate is not necessarily something that is overly high. I was at the graduation last year. I believe we had 3 students, if I remember correct, that graduated. Pretty powerful to just watch those students walk across the stage. But many of the students who come into the program are students that have already essentially failed out of the system prior to coming there. So these are students that come in sometimes as 16, 17-year-olds. They would typically be juniors, sometimes sophomores, sometimes juniors, and they might have a credit to their name. So for them to be able to have those opportunities to actually graduate, again, the life skills, to stay out of lockup, those are all successes that we look at beyond just the graduation rates that are there. But I would say the graduation rate is probably, if I were taking a ballpark figure, 15-20%, might be less than that as we look at what happens overall.
So to follow up with that question, you talked about having programs for individuals up to the age of 26?
Yes, ma'am.
So what type of programs are offered?
Special education programs. Our state actually has the requirement that special education programs are offered up to the age of 26. And so those are the programs that I was referencing that would be there. Because once a student graduates, at that point in time, they've termed out whether they're in a special education program or in a general education program. But we have students that we serve up to the age of 26 that would be in specialized programs.
So are there any programs to assist the students that don't have enough credits to graduate? How do you serve those students? What happens? So when they turn 18, they're just on their own, or do they have an opportunity? Do you provide programming for GED, diploma? What does that look
We
like?
actually can't award diplomas. So that answer is no. The ISDs don't have that ability by statute. So that would fall on the local districts if they have alternative programming.
Okay,
So we actually don't award diplomas.
okay. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rodriguez?
Thank you very much, Superintendent for ISD. Who is doing the audit budget for you, and what are the audit budget of the district? Who is the company who is doing that? And how is the qualification, how are the results? What is going on there with that?
Maynard Costarian is our auditing firm that we use. I am proud to say that during the entire time that I've been there, we have not had any findings, any material weaknesses. Our budgets come out incredibly clean, and that's been the transition between two different budget managers. Helen had retired after over 30 years of service. Becky, who's joined me here tonight, has carried on, and so we're very proud of the fact that our budgets come out very clean. We typically have less than a 1% difference as well. So when I say they do a nice job, they do a fantastic job with our budgets.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Superintendent?
I just wanted to say thank you to Jason and his team. As I think you all know, when I got here, one of the things that we really highlighted was our special ed and what we needed. And, you know, it takes a village. There was no way that we could move from less than a 50% compliance rate to up to a 96% compliance rate in less than 8 months without the support of Jason and his team. I see a lot of the team back there. Hello, everybody. We really appreciate it. You know, we all know that the Lansing School District's not going to always see eye to eye with the ISD, especially in the way that ISDs are constructed, us being by far the largest school district, but yet only getting basically one vote amongst many. But the idea that we have a person that we know cares about children, puts children first, and really is trying to be supportive of what Lansing does as well as the whole ISD. I just want to thank you for that, and we look forward to the further conversations that we've been talking about, both publicly and privately, on how we can move special ed in Lansing even further. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I did have one question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the health resource advocates, you mentioned that you may receive additional funding from the state. Is that through ESSERS, or is this a different funding pot? Okay.
So let me slow down and explain what is a very challenging thing here.
Okay.
So there are health resource advocates and then health resource liaisons. One was funded through MDHHS. The other was funded through the CDC. The CDC system was the liaisons. The liaisons are being pushed over to become advocates for schools that were applicable in order to have those. So it's becoming a system. Those funds come from MDHHS. MDHHS has been notified that there is more dollars available than what they had originally been told. So that's why they're saying there should be funds to be able to work through September 30th. they're both, that we've been told is a go. We're being told, and again, we don't have any of this in writing. This is the one challenge, so take this for what it's worth in conversations. We're being told there is a high likelihood that there will be opportunities for funds to be able to support these advocates for next school year as well. We have not been given any dollar amounts, but we have started to make plans at our superintendent meetings to survey who is interested, and we're moving forward as with the belief that those will come through, but knowing that until we have a final award, we can't actually finalize those. So we know many of the advocates that are serving inside schools currently are interested in being able to continue, which is a positive thing. So we've just got to hope that some dollars will be finalized and will come through from MDHHS so that way we can continue to proceed forward to be able to support schools with those advocates.
Believe it or not, that made perfect sense. Tracks that. Okay. Follow-up question is, could you tell us a little bit more about the program then for advocates? So the advocates are the local school district employees, or they're ISD employees? So are they local school district employees and you guys pay a pass-through, or are they ISD employees?
My answer is actually yes, all of the above. It's depended on which districts and how they've done that. There's been an opportunity for certain districts to be able to reimburse if they met the criteria of the requirements of what the position was. And then in other districts, it was people that were hired in for that. So it's more of a district by district basis that's been applied, but there's a set criteria that is specific for that job in order to be able to to get those reimbursements, if that makes sense. So we've been trying to work through that as well, hoping that those will not change for next year. But that's on a wish and a prayer as well, because it seems to be a constant change with respect to the requirements as the virus evolves. So have the changes with respect to what staff members can do.
Okay. Dr. Kavanaugh.
Hi, I'm looking at page 11 under Pupil Accounting and Truancy. At the end, you say statutorily required student attendance and truancy services are also provided. Could you tell me more about what those truancy services entail?
Sure. So in 1962, ISDs were codified into statute. At that point in time, there were specific things that they were required to do that continue through to today, one of which is actually pupil accounting and truancy. So with respect to truancy, we actually have to have a truancy officer. If there are challenges that come up that rise up from a local district to provide to that, then we follow through with the processes that have been put in place. So pupil accounting is a requirement. We continue to have that as a service that we offer here to support the local districts as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Are there any additional questions from board members this evening? Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dr. Body.
I was hesitant to ask because it's not directly related to why you're here.
Too bad he sat in the seat so you can ask him anything.
REMC, does REMC include textbooks?
Good question.
Hang on one second. Textbooks. I'm guessing no, but I don't know.
We have a digital discovery, it's a discovery website that districts have access to, but actual hardcover textbooks, no. Not that I'm aware of. Look into that.
So it doesn't sound as though that's something that they would cover.
Is there any coordination between school districts? Maybe this is for Ben. Is there any coordination between local school districts on pooling resources to purchase things like textbooks or comparing curriculums to see how our textbooks stack up to textbooks being used in East Lansing or Holt? Or
Yes. I was going to say that, yes. In fact, when we've done textbook purchases, I know for a fact we've tried to do some bulk orders when those have been available. So for districts that have been interested in connecting on curriculums, that's something we have looked into. I just didn't know if it was through REMC or not, but I do know that's something we've tried to offer to knock down the overall prices on.
And I will add, and I really appreciate the idea of the collective bargaining of getting the kind of better deals. But one thing that I'm really thrilled, and I want to commend the Lansing School District, is when we look at curriculum, we have a very large lens of equity and a bunch of other kind of steps that we take that not everybody in the country does. So if it's like we're all with Go Math, great, we'll pull. But if there's specific things that we do because we're really looking from a kind of an equity lens or a different thing, then we usually do it alone. But yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, board members, this evening, we have the option to either approve or reject the resolution in front of us. Dr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President, Vice President, Temporary President.
Empress is fine, but I'll take it.
I move that the Board of Education approve Ingham Intermediate School District budget and resolution as was presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Rodriguez, supported by Ms. Hodgen. Are there any other questions or discussion? All right, with no further discussion, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. The resolution passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your continued support and partnership.
Of
We
course.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you, and thank you for doing that, so our guests don't have to wait for the rest of the meeting. Next, we have a report from Superintendent, Mr. Schuldiner.
Good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to be here. You know, I typically have all sorts of things to say. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. Today I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to say, so I'll start with, I guess, the sad so that I can move to the positive. Today, depending on which news agency you look at, depending on where you get your reports, today is a day that not only should live in infamy, but is a day that we need to recognize. And what is today? Today is the day that the 1 millionth person died of COVID in America. Let that sit in. This is a disease that we have lots of weapons to fight. This is a disease that we can actually try to deal with, and yet today we don't celebrate, we mourn the 1 millionth death of COVID in America. Not even talking about the rest of the world. So when we do ask why we wear these masks, when we do ask about why we push vaccines, when we do ask about why we care so deeply about the incredible mitigation strategies that we've done, just remember today, the 1 millionth person died of COVID in America. Now on something much brighter. Today is Cinco de Mayo, which is a wonderful holiday that I will certainly defer to my colleagues on the board that have been certainly celebrating it longer than I have. But, you know, it is so important that all of us represent and respect and understand the culture and the history of what makes our community great. Now, Cinco de Mayo as a holiday is kind of an interesting one for Americans to celebrate because it is in fact pushing the French out of Mexico in Puebla, but it is a great day to talk about what it means for people in a community to rise up against oppression. And so with that, I want to certainly celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I want to celebrate those from Mexico, those that care deeply about our heritage in America, and want to say have a wonderful, wonderful Cinco de Mayo. The third, and probably by far the most important thing that I want to say, is that today is part of National Teachers Appreciation Week. Now, I am reminded, because I'm a big dork, I am reminded of the beginning of King Lear. In the beginning of King Lear, and Cordelia would certainly know this, is that the king has 3 daughters, and he kind of asks a pretty simple question, which is like, how much do you love me? And the first daughter basically says, you know, the stars and the moon, and you're the greatest. And second daughter kind of says, you know, I couldn't live without you. You're so incredible. And the third daughter, in essence, says nothing. And Lear says, nothing will become of nothing. Speak again. And she says, basically, I love you like I should. And there's a part of me about National Teachers Week that's farcical, right? Why is it this week that we celebrate you. We should be celebrating you every day. The teacher in the room, as we know, research after research after research says, is the single most important person for student success. Today, like all days, is National Teachers Day and National Teachers Week. And so, I know I've been visiting, everybody knows I go to a school almost every day. I was at Averill this week. They had great food for the Teachers Week. It was great. Today there was I was at Willow. I saw more cupcakes than I've ever seen before in my life. There's all sorts of really great things that the school is doing, and that's appropriate. The schools are where that locus of love and support happens. And I think sometimes a district will say, okay, teachers, we'll send you a pen, we'll send you a biscuit. And in some respects, that's, it's not wrong, but what are we saying, right? You're not worth a biscuit. You're not worth a pen. What you are worth is everything, and that we love you like we should, and if somebody asks nothing, and we say nothing will become of nothing. The idea is that the school district has to respect our teachers every day. And how do we respect our teachers? What do we strive to do? Give you a good salary. Give you a good working condition, giving you support, giving you love, giving you guidance, and giving you, everything that you need to be that successful person in the room. And so, the idea that the district would send out pens to everybody or a biscuit or whatever it is, what we need to do is our job, and we need to do it better than we're doing it today, and the better tomorrow and moving forward. And so that's, I think, a nice way to talk about one of the things that we are trying to do for all of our teachers is your working conditions, right? When you negotiate management versus labor, one of the most important things, they usually talk about bread and butter issues. The bread and butter issues are salary and working conditions, right? And usually health benefits, but that's a whole other story. And so when we're talking about working conditions, it is crazy to me that in 2022 we have classrooms without air conditioning, that we have rooms that are not really fit for teaching in June, in May, in those hot days in September. And that's why that the bond that was passed this week is I think indicative of what districts are supposed to do for their teachers, which is to give you the best working environment, the best conditions that we possibly can. And so, with that, I really want to say how happy I am and how honored I am to be the superintendent of this community, a community that voted more than 71% in favor of a bond. That's huge. The idea, and we don't know exactly because we haven't looked at every stat from the state, but this 71% in the for is at least one of, if not the highest percentage of yes in the entire state. And what that says is that the people of Lansing care about our children. I don't want to hear anybody say that Lansing doesn't care about its schools, that Lansing doesn't care about its kids, that Lansing doesn't care about its teachers. That the idea that we have here is that a community cares deeply. And so we need to now take that care and make it a reality. And that we need to think about what are our other needs, what else do we need, and be honest about it. Because our community loves us and our community wants us to support it, but we can't do that if we hide our faults. We can't, do it if we hide our warts. And so we said we had 4 buildings that really need to be rebuilt. We're going to do it. We said that we need air conditioning in every classroom. We're going to do it. We said that we needed love for Sexton. We're going to do it. But this can't be the last conversation we have, because we need to be honest and thoughtful about what we really need, and we need to go back to the community. But before we do that, in the next year or two, we're going to be spending a lot of time asking the community what else they need. Because this is about your money, it is about what you care about, and thus it has to be about your voice impacting the next bond, the next ask that we have. So again, I am just thrilled with the overwhelming support. It's been incredible. And as you know, I always, because I owe it to everybody, to give you the report about our transportation. So we do have, with gas cards, we're at 1,762 with nobody on the wait list, which is great. 182 on CATA, and we have 4,491 folks routed on the buses, and we have basically 6 students on the wait list left. I know I said I would stop when we got to 0, but we do have a group of 57 students that live in places, and this is me being transparent, live in places that if we added them to the route, it would add anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes on those routes. And since we're so limited to the number of routes, we've been working with those families, again, with gas cards and CATA cards. So that number of 0 of people on the wait list will probably not ever go down this year, but I continue to say it because we need to remind ourselves that this district continues to need to do better to serve all of our children. So, look, the COVID is the sad part. The Cinco de Mayo is the happy part and the celebratory part. The National, Teachers Appreciation Day and Week is incredibly powerful and so important for us to recognize the hard work of our wonderful teachers. The bond passing is incredible, and it allows us to do more. And so, with that, I know the board and I, and certainly ET, loves the videos. So instead of a did you know from each person, we actually have a really fun did you know, because as John McGraw will explain, it's the first video that was ever really made in our new video studio. So with that, take it away, John.
Good evening, board. So as the superintendent just mentioned, the Board of Education passed last year some construction funds for the new studio space at the Hill Center. So this is a first home for the communications department where we all can work together, but also have productions to highlight all the offerings here at the district. So we'll have students and staff in there working on different projects to highlight all the wonderful things going on here. So as the superintendent mentioned a couple weeks ago, he came out for his first visit to the space, and we recorded this video that you're about to see here, which is about the promise and the deadline. Excuse me. Their deadline for students to apply is May 17th. So here's a video.
All right, am I looking here?
This is a wide shot.
My name is Justin Sheehan. I'm the Executive Director of the Lansing Promise. And we're here to quickly talk about the Lansing Promise Scholarship, both the application process and what it means for you and what it means for your family.
I'm Terry Bernero. I'm the Director of CTE and the Future Promise Scholar programs. I'm so happy that we have 270 students who now have applied for the Lansing Promise Scholarship.
Hi, my name is Ben Schuldener, and I am the Superintendent of the Lansing School District. I am honored to tell you that if you go to the Lansing School District and you live within the Lansing School District lines, you would qualify for the Lansing Promise.
What's the Promise Scholarship?
The Lansing Promise is an incredible opportunity to help have your school bills paid for over the course of your college career.
Understand that the Lansing Promise Scholarship is, of course, just that, a scholarship, but it's something more. It's about a community that is ready to walk with you into your brighter future, whether that's education, employment, or entrepreneurship. Maybe it's both, 2 out of 3, maybe it's all 3. We want to see you succeed because your success makes this community stronger. And the reality is this, you won't be walking alone. With more than 1,400 scholars who have already set foot on a college campus since this program started, with more than 600 graduations and certificates completed, and with more than 60,000 credits earned to date. After high school, through the Promise, you are part of a successful future. We look forward to seeing you both across the stage and on campus.
It is not too late. The deadline is coming up May 17th. So get your application in. It's really easy. It will take you 5 minutes. Go to lansingpromise.org. What's really exciting is that we added another post-secondary partner this year. Davenport University is on board. So you will have an opportunity to go to Lansing Community College, Michigan State University, Olivet College, and now Davenport.
That is an incredible opportunity that's afforded to you because you go to the Lansing School District and because you live in the Lansing School District lines.
What's really exciting is that Hope and Promise have merged, so we cover your books and fees. It's 65 free credits at Lansing Community College or $10,000 for MSU, Olivet, and Davenport. So do not miss this opportunity. Please apply today. We are so excited to have walked with you these last 6 years when you were at that Hope induction ceremony, and we're looking forward to celebrating your future success. Thank you so much.
I highly encourage each and every one of you to apply for the Lansing Promise Scholarship. Thank you.
If you attended 9th through 12th grade at a high school within the Lansing School District boundaries, head on over to lansingpromise.org for more information and to apply by the May 17th deadline.
Thank you for that, John. Now, the irony, the last thing I'd say is, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but, today is National Teachers Week and whatever, and we actually have a teacher in the room that I want to, and what's nice about this district is even though there's 26 schools and 10,000 kids, I'm getting to know a lot of the teachers. So Danielle Hovenkamp, who is in the back, she is an incredible special ed teacher. And also, we have two wonderful administrators in the room, Priscilla Ellis and Tracy O'Hario, who are here, which we appreciate. But I don't want to take the steam away for the national teachers. So Danielle, really, thank you for all you do, and it's great that you're always here supporting us. And we can't do any of this stuff without the teachers. So thank you, Danielle, and thank you to everybody all 3 people listening at home, and we really do appreciate that. So with that is my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, other than for Ms. Hovenkamp to remind us which school she teaches at. Thank you. All right. Next, we are moving on to our routine matters. First up for our committee reports this evening is Mr. Lopez with our Facilities Committee report.
I do not have a Facilities Committee report because we haven't met since our last meeting, but we do have a meeting coming up on May 16th at 12 noon, right here. So I will have some to report at our next regular meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Next is for you for Promise Committee. Anything to add other than the May 17th deadline?
No, we haven't had a meeting. We had a Finance Committee meeting, but our meeting is coming up. So because Dr. Rodriguez is representing the district on the foundation part of the authority board. So after our meeting, we will have probably a lot of stuff to report at our next meeting.
One of the things are coming is the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be very special this year. That we had to be preparing, we had to bring as many people we can from the board and from the district to meet with everybody in the community. And I think this year too had not only to invite everybody to support Lansing School District, but an opportunity for the superintendent and the board to thank the community for what they did last Tuesday.
Right. I think at the next meeting we'll have more.
Thank you.
Final information for the dinner and for all the things that are happening.
Thank you. Mr. Sheehan did email out the sponsorship package. So the dinner is June 9th, and so sponsorships are available for that. So you can visit lansingpromise.org to figure out which sponsorship package you would like, and I'm sure we'll have more details in the future. So thank you for that. Any questions for Mr. Lopez or Dr. Rodriguez? Next, we have a report regarding the Equity Committee. Just to highlight for the group that we were hoping to have the final report from our partners by now, but there was a request for an extension at no cost to us to be able to finalize the report. So we have received an executive summary, which is about like a 7-page highlight, which is basically a narrative version of the presentation that they provided to us. And we're still waiting for the final report so we can move forward with the development of our not steering committee, but not steering committee, but our ongoing equity committee work. And then I forgot I was vice president again, so I have the personnel report. So this evening, included on the consent agenda is the receipt and approval of the April 2022 personnel report. So we have some retirement and resignations to review, and then a handful of hires that are on for approval this evening. Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much for the report. The equity report, I think is so important for us, for the district, and for the community, that maybe we had to put that in the agenda for the retreat and do a study of that and see what we are going to do after that. I think that is so important. It's necessary to have that present, and I think that use the retreat as much time we can to be a very good time for us to see what we go from the report.
Absolutely, I agree. Any other questions? Mr. Lopez.
Yes, on the new hires and so on and so forth, I'd like to see a report on the hires in terms of ethnicity, gender, cumulative report.
Is there a period in time that you would like to look at, like over the past certain amount of years, or just for this current school year? New hires, any preference?
Yeah, because we see new hires every meeting, right? And we have the names and the position, but we don't know whether they're, the ethnicity or gender, et cetera. So I think we can have a report and then a cumulative report as we move on through the year.
Sure, and I think we would have to, because we approve, we would have to have like a separate report that's de-identified, so just out of this report, X amount of this gender, X amount of this ethnicity, but they wouldn't be able to add it as a column, but I think we could get a roll-up report.
But, the board
of
can
just the
receive that report.
demographics. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
So one thing I just wanted to point out is that as part of the new hires for board information is our first hires through this really wonderful partnership that this board was super supportive of, which was working closely with the teachers union, with LSEA, to create kind of an on-board ramp for people that want to sub and then either become full-time teachers or get counseling and support and whatever. So some of these, I think it's some of the sub teachers, the last two, we're really proud that that's part of that relationship that we said, hey, look, if they're going to change the rules about who can sub and they're taking away these 60 credit requirements, why not bring in people that we can support both from the district level and the union level, showing a really nice collaboration where everybody just wants the best teacher in the room. So if we're going to have subs, let's help support them. And this information, it's not to vote on, I think, but just to tell you that this is the beginning of this really great relationship, and we're bringing in people every month for this. So I just wanted to point that out, and thanks everybody for the support. It's finally bearing fruit.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? I thank you. Oh, absolutely, Ms. Lilji.
There was a time when you gave us like a dashboard, like how many vacancies versus, well, basically how many rolling vacancies. I know that's never going to get to zero, but I wondered like where we were at with that. Could we have it quarterly or something? I don't know what you all would like to see, but I'm just always curious, like, what does it mean? I see we have one more teacher on the new hire list than we have on the retirement resignation list, but where do we stand? I'm just curious, and it doesn't have to be super detailed, and it doesn't have to be all the time, but if we could agree on like a regular dashboard, I would love that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I want to commend the Executive Director of Human Resources, Susie Corbin. Today, we have our ET meetings every week, and so she does give us updates. I'm always happy to share that with the board, and so maybe, we can talk offline in terms of what the board would like in terms of the number of reports or the, whatever. Like right now, to remind everybody, we are doing those monthly kind of COVID health ones. We are doing the monthly special ed. Happy to add that to the mix. Whatever you guys want.
Thank you, those are great suggestions. Next, we have the ISOA committee report. Dr. Rodriguez?
Thank you very much. We had a meeting, our last meeting for this year, yesterday at 8 o'clock, and we spent most of the time listening about the budget that you already are aware of, that they presented today to us, then I don't have to go over that. And after that, we go around to see what every district is doing, and because it was so early in the morning, I knew what I had to say right away. Then definitely, I said, we $130 million for the kids, Lansing School District. Then that was, after that, we are not going to have more meetings until September, and they had different topics. I suggest that maybe they should have a junior achievement or junior board for the whole 11 districts. Our students can see other students for other places, and the other students for other cities around Lansing can see us. Then let's see what happens with that idea. But since we are working together for the same goals, and then why not to be together as soon as possible? That I will answer any questions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, and you still have the floor as the next
Thank
agenda
you very
item is
much.
policy
And
committee.
I got to thank, it's so impressive to work with people that really do a good job. I got to thank the board members. They are in the policy committee, the administrator, Mr. Sergio Quez, and the secretary, and the superintendent also joined us yesterday in the policy committee. We went over 8 different policies that I will explain, or I will go over to you before we approve for the first reading. At that time, I will tell you what policies are those. And after that, we spend times that we don't need to wait to approve the regular every 3 or 4 month approval of new policies. We want to do more. We want to be more proactive. That we are going to have another meeting in the next 4 weeks to go over about other policies that we want to include in the future. And one of them are the role of some board members. They are in the policies, but really we don't do. How we are going to accommodate that and find new policies or whatever we had to do there. I think that was, one of them is the treasury duties and the secretary duties. I don't take notes on all these kind of things. We had to review that together and see what other things we can do there. I had to study new situations the district is having of transgender or situation or communication of the parents and all that. We will study that carefully before we come in front of the board. That is my report, our report for tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Ms. Moore?
No, you did say it was a first reading, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next is the ad hoc committee on strategic plan. Mrs. Moore?
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice President.
That works.
All righty, so we did not meet on Monday because we were preparing to celebrate for our win. Yay. But we are meeting next Monday. The Michigan State will be hosting community conversations next week with LSEA and also with our community members at Geyer Park, Gardner, and Eastern. MSU will be here on the 12th to present their draft of our vision and mission statement, So I wanted to report that. And let's see. I believe that's it for now. Our ELT team, do you guys have anything? We good? All right. So that's it. That's it for now.
Thank you. Mrs. Moore, would it be possible to get a list of all of the activities? So this, what strategic listening sessions are they going to have? Which community groups are they going to hit? So we can
Yes.
just sort of have a.
Yeah, yes, and I can actually, can I share that now? I have it now, yeah. So, okay, so the MSU will be meeting with LSEA on May 10th at the MEA headquarters for their input session. There'll be a community input session on May 11th at 6 p.m. at Geyer Park. May 16th at 6 p.m. at Gardner. And May 18th, 6 p.m. at Eastern.
And who's the audience for the Gardner, Geyer Park, and Eastern?
The community. The community is invited to participate in a conversation about the strategic plan, if that makes sense. If anybody wants to chime in, Ben, you want, come on.
Oh, I mean, well, I mean, first of all, we're just thrilled that we're engaging in this. And one of the things that I want to make very clear is that we are having these community conversations before we are making the plan. Somebody in a meeting even said, hey, this is the first time that we're actually asking for the community's voice before setting this up. So we really, really hope that anybody who is part of the wonderful Lansing community comes out to these schools. There's no specific ask for those three. This is about the community. There are going to be special ones, like the LSEA is going to be for teachers, clearly, right? But we will also, and John McGraw, it's on the website. We are also going to probably do robocalls and robo-emails to remind folks. But I don't know, John, if you want to tell people where to find the information?
Certainly, you can go to our website. We also sent out a robo email today with the information that Ms. Moore just spoke about. There's going to be other communication as well about these meetings, but we'll also be doing a survey that will go to anybody that's, that comes to these meetings or that cannot. So that'll go out to everybody as well. And then there will be a staff meeting later in the month. We're working on the date. It's probably going to be the 25th of the month that staff will be able to virtually have a meeting just for staff. But these meetings are open to anybody that would like to come and voice their opinions and help with the strategic plan.
And I do want to chime in, our students even gave us input, and that was extremely important. So we were able to get their voice and figure out what they needed or what they need or desire to have. So I wanted to share that as well. So yes, community, come out, please. Everybody here, come out. Yes, did you have something to say?
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay.
No, the question is simple. I know John mentioned on the website and robocalls, but is there a press release indicating that this is happening and that we invite the community? Because, I mean, that's more global in that way.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll work on that right away. We'll get that out right away.
Cool. Just very clearly, anybody, our doors are open,
Yeah.
right? We want as many people to come out as possible. So thanks, Guillermo. That's a great idea.
Yeah, thanks, Guillermo.
So already started with a couple meetings. The junior board met with the team last week, and then PCAC as well.
Great. Dr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. And also, we have three different kind of the schools. Geyer, who is elementary, Gardner, who is an academy, and then Eastern. But anybody can go to any of the schools because we want to reach all the parents from before kindergarten to 12, the graduation day. Then that is the important that we have different schools, different places, and includes all grades with the parents.
That's right. We want to make things accessible, available. That's right. All right, any other questions about the strategic plan at this time? No?
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the questions. How about that?
Thank you. We'll be sure to share it on social media once everything's published. Great. Next on the agenda this evening, we have our consent agenda. So for approval this evening, we have the April 21st regular meeting minutes and the receipt and approval of the personnel report. May I have a motion? Ms. Lilji?
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved by Ms. Lilji, supported by Ms. Hodgen. Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes 8-0. Next on our action items, we have already completed action item A, so I will move on to action item B, which is the first reading of our spring policies. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. And what you have in front of you, or you will have in your computer, are 8 different policies. And the first one will be 60167.3, public participation on board meetings. And the second is 1616, new staff dress and grooming. 3216, staff dress and grooming. 4216, support staff dress and grooming. A lot about dressing. E5511, revised dress and grooming. And 6110, grant funds. 6114, cost principles. And 6325, revised procurement. Some of these policies are the same, but there are different colors. What is in green is new, that you can read what is new there. And when we change some of them, like for instance, we review the fine for the books in the student don't return when they take books from the library or they borrow books from the library. That was eliminated, but the rest stayed the same. Then please, when you have a minute, be familiar with them because it's so many, and we are not going to see that again maybe until 4 or 5 years from now. Then now is the time to see what this policy is all about. It's going to be the first reading, and we have 2 more weeks before we go for approval. You can canvas your idea, change it, whatever any board member desire. They can do it in the approval time in 2 weeks from now.
Thank you. One thing sorry, go ahead, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, Dr. Rodriguez, do we have the policies where you have stricken or highlighted either new or old?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not in, I can't find them here, but I'll look for them.
Mr. Lopez, let me know if you can't find it. In the email that Lynette sent on the 29th, the attachment she has, the PDFs should show strike bold, but if it doesn't, let us know. We can get you a...
It's not open.
It's not open.
They don't
like
open
that?
here.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we can have that resent to you.
Is this that's the bond?
Because I was just going to say that's what I liked, was that was working, and that didn't work for you.
How you can read it, you don't have it. But definitely, if you don't have it for tomorrow or Monday, please let the secretary know that we follow up, please. Don't wait until the second reading.
Good. Yep, I can see. Just one other thing, I know you're reviewing the policies with the appropriate personnel, I imagine. So the things that have to do with revised procurement, federal grant funds, those finance, cost principles, spending federal funds, grant funds. I wonder if some of our committees might take a look at those because they pertain to what they do and see if they have, from that perspective, any additions, subtractions to those policies.
And that is a good idea. And I think that maybe if in one of these, and you are representing the board in those committees, then maybe you can see, I'm going to take that to them, or whatever you want to do. But I think I'm going to read that again, and it's appropriate to send that should go to be sure that everybody knows these policies, and the facility committee or another committee, exactly. They should have a copy of that.
Okay. Super.
Thank you. And yes, Mr. Lopez, please let us know if you continue to have difficulty. We'll make sure we get those to you.
I don't want to see any of the other board members in the committee want to add anything.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Lilje?
I do just want to say that we also, beyond these, talked about some possible future kind of aspirational ideas about the structure of the board, and that we're not bringing any recommendations about those topics, but if anybody has any questions about those, we can answer them, but there's maybe no questions because there's no recommendation there. So.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, we are going to move on to our bond authorizing resolution. I do have a point of order question. Oh my goodness, that's right. We had our report from Dr. Rodriguez regarding the review of policies that are up for first reading. May I have a motion for first reading, please? I think I heard Mr. Lopez, supported by the Dr. Body. Thank you. Any other additional questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Dr. Body?
Yes.
Dr. Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Ms. Hodgen? Mrs. Lilji?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez? Mrs. Willis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, this is what I was going to say. I did have a point of order question about us approving a resolution to authorize the issuance and delegating the sale of bonds. I'm curious if we've received our certificate of election. Not that I'm questioning it. 71% is, oh, okay, we're good. All right. Wonderful. Well, then I have no further concerns. Any questions or comments about this formality of us actually authorizing the issuance and selling of the bonds that we were just authorized to do by our voters? Any questions, comments, feedback, anything you guys want to say about Tuesday? And I'm not sure Mr. Lang had anything he needed to say.
Community.
Thank you, and big thank you to the committee and our co-chairs, Mr. Kelly Dean, Ms. Sarah Anthony, the Chrisman team, and the team of individuals that made sure that there was support and information provided to the community. I was overwhelmingly impressed with the amount of well thought out information that was shared to the public, and the how much people asked great questions about the bond and supported that. So I'm happy that we're in this position today. So for the sum of $129,700,000, Dr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. I think that this community has been so loyal to the Lansing School District students that maybe from the board and the superintendent we had a press release. Thank you, the community, for what they went to vote for the good of the students of this community. I think that we should make public our appreciation for what they did, not just here around us, but going out and tell them, hey, we belong to you, you belong to us. We are all together in that.
I think that would be a great idea to get that message out to more than the 3 people that we know are watching this evening. So I think that's a great idea, Dr. Rodriguez. May I have a motion?
Madam President.
Dr. Body?
I move that we formally move and adopt the bond authorizing resolution. Do I have to read the whole thing?
Ooh, okay, it's been moved by Dr. Body. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Seconded by Mrs. Moore. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Wonderful, thank you. That motion passes 8-0. Next on our agenda this evening is review of the timeline for the superintendent evaluation and adoption of the tool that we will be using. So just a reminder to the board that our timeline for the evaluation this year, thank you, is that today on May 5th, we will adopt the tool and timeline. May 26th will be the evening that we have the superintendent's self-evaluation, which can be conducted in closed session if it's at the request of the superintendent. Remember that we agreed that June 2nd, which is my birthday, I accept cupcakes, just saying. June 2nd is the day that we will be completing our consensus evaluation. And again, that can happen in closed session, with a reminder that we ask all board members to complete your rubric prior to the start of that meeting. And then June 16 will be the final review to formally adopt the completed evaluation. You also have a hard copy of the tool with you. I'm tactile, I like to take notes, but if you want to enter it electronically and see your scores tally, I'm happy to send out. I will send out to everyone the electronic version as well, but I did want to make sure you had a printed hard copy. So this can be the copy that you bring with you. Reminder that these are to be completed only individually and then within the board. Please do not share or distribute these evaluations once you complete them. And remember that our consensus evaluation will be the final evaluation of record, and that is what is placed in the personnel file of the superintendent. Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think that is very clear, very conducive to do our job. Thank you very much. But I want to know that June 16 really, by that day, we're supposed to have the whole thing done. The only thing we could do is just to present to the board for approval or whatever. But before that, we already have the evaluation done. Is that correct?
Correct. June 2nd, and a reminder, besides it being my birthday, I'm going to see how many times I can slip that in tonight, that we did have a special meeting time of 4 p.m. that evening, and on that date, we will complete the evaluation. But we do that in closed session. We do not adopt the evaluation until we do that in open session, which we will do at the June 16th meeting. And at that time, that's when we present the summary of the evaluation and then adopt it officially. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Lopez.
Is our superintendent going to send us his information so we can review it as we complete the report? Or are you going to do your self-evaluation and, okay, cool.
Okay. So, with no further questions, may I have a recommended motion that we adopt the evaluation tool and timeline as presented? It's been moved by Ms. Lilje, supported by Mr. Lopez. Any other questions or comments? Absolutely, Ms. Lilje.
I just hear Dr. Nathan Burrow's voice in my head about how flawed the tool is. It may be the best one that's out there and the best one that we've got, and we're going to do the best we can with it, but it's not great, so I just
For the record. Got it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We are now on to new business. First item under new business is public comment on non-agenda items, of which we have none. So next up is the report from Secretary and Announcements. Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. You know, it's close to the great days of graduation. We have a few things, and today I thank the superintendent for the way that he reminded to us the great day of Cinco de Mayo and the way we should celebrate. It's really bad that day also we have 1 million in the United States, 15 million in the world. Then, but we had the part that we are celebrating, and I was out today in different places And it's not only the Latinos who were happy to celebrate that day, but was the whole community, and that is what it's all about. Wednesday, May 11, is Professional Development Day. Wednesday, May 11, is also the 3.5 celebration. 3.5 celebration at 6 p.m. at Eastern High School. I'm going to repeat that because I don't have it here, but it's going to be May 11, Eastern High School, 6 p.m., the celebration of the student who they have an average of 3.5 in their grade. Also, Tuesday, May 10, we had Latino recognition ceremony at every high school, 6 to 7 p.m. Every board member and everybody is invited to celebrate with them their achievement. So we had the 10, we had the 11. Thursday, the 12, we had information session meeting, and I think the board member Moore already told us they are coming. Okay, thank you. On Tuesday, May 17, Parents University Parents Engagement 101, Financial Literacy and Wellness Free, 5 to 7 at 4200 Wainwright. RSVP to reserve your ticket. See the Lansing School District website under the Everett for more information. Finally, Friday, May 20, last day for seniors. I am sure that they are happy to hear that.
You're going to have a long vacation.
But also they had to prepare themselves to go to a new life. Thank you, Madam President, and congratulations for running the show tonight.
Almost flawless. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Rodriguez. Next up is an opportunity for comments from board members.
I have a question for our board secretary.
Absolutely.
What's the date of our retreat?
Yet to be determined.
Okay, all right.
It's going to be the announcement. I think it's going to be the 23rd of
Tentatively, the 23rd of July.
Of July.
July. Yes, I have it.
That's our tentative date. We haven't confirmed everything.
Yeah, I think it's the 23rd of July board retreat, and we don't know where. We are thinking maybe go to Detroit. Okay,
Oh, that's right, we did to the east side.
But it's okay with you that day?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is something we should have
Okay.
together, not just the officers. Then maybe what we have to do, Madam President, is to send a note to say we can have it that day, or have it the 22nd, or what will be the date that everybody's available, including the administration.
Might have to do it.
Because just to tell you we are going to have it that day, you are telling me we don't, we have, my schedule is already full, then it's not good. Should be 100% participation. We cannot have a retreat with just few board members. No, that is not a goal.
We might have to send out a poll, a doodle poll, so we can get
Yeah, please do that.
preferred
We need
dates.
to work Sundays too, Don't worry about
You said you will work Sundays? Okay.
But I think this is very important, the 100% participation.
All right, thank you. We will make sure we get something out very soon, though, about securing a date, because I know weekends in the summer are hard to come by for us to have a date available.
Madam Chair?
Absolutely, Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, I'm looking at this announcement. We have Parent University, May 17th. I wonder if we could, the district could film the classes so that then other parents would know what it is that happens and what kind of subjects are covered in this Parent University, to hear their comments of people that are taking that.
Yeah. I don't have a mic, and I probably don't need one because my voice projects.
No, you
but,
do. You do.
Parent University, We record anytime we do them on Zoom. Yes, we've been, the last year, they were all on Zoom. And so therefore, they're all listed on our website as of today. And in moving forward, thank you for the recommendation. Those that are in person, we'll make sure that we work with our communications department to find out what the best way of going about that is. But all of the presentations that have been on Zoom are certainly and will be moving forward recorded.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just thinking that it's different when you have parents in a room and there's discussion going back and forth, hopefully, and that people learn from hearing stuff. So.
It's a great idea, absolutely. And John and Cordelia will figure out a way to do that. That's great.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members? All right, seeing none, at 7:20, we are adjourned.